Namaskaram, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. Today, we'll be discussing about cutting edge workflows and strategies which maximizes the potential of XR. And you might be wondering what I'm talking about. So, I'm talking about workflows for webXR and standalone headset experiences. So, we'll cover today everything from optimizing performance, rendering pipelines to streamlining development, workflows, and creating seamless user experiences. While we are going to discuss this, we'll be also going to discuss about unique challenges and opportunities of developing for both web-based VR and standalone headsets, and how a developer can leverage the strengths of each platform to reach their audience more effectively. And to discuss all of this, we have a really special guest today, which is Vikrant Singh. He has completed his bachelor's from IIT Guwahati. He is currently co-founder and CEO of Convrse.ai, which enables millions of creators to build and sell real-time 3D content. The AI compression tool makes an legacy 3D content extremely light and ready for the web. As a result, millions of 3D assets built on CAD or any other traditional tools can be imported into games, VR, and metaverse experiences. So that was a bit about Converse AI. We would like to hear more from Vikrant himself.
Super. Thanks, Pooja. Hi, everyone. I'm Vikrant, one of the founders here at Convrse.ai. And we've been working in the immersive space for 5 years now. So have had decent amount of experience dealing in extremely heavy 3D legacy data, which we have been constantly pushing for web XR and headset-based standalone experiences. We've done insane amount of works largely helping enterprises and brands utilize immersive as a medium to present their products and solutions to customers in a very intuitive, intelligent, immersive way. And one of our largest category in terms of solution historically has been real estate and architecture, where we have helped 200 plus companies across the country bring their upcoming properties to life by using VR. We worked on a plethora of headsets, starting from Oculus Go, which was actually the first standalone headset, which started the trend and momentum around people exploring the possibility and potential of such a device. And from there, we've covered all the headsets that have come out over the last few years. And at the same time, we built our content in a way that it can be seamlessly consumed on the web as well. So I think I'm well suited to have this discussion with all of you. We've built over 70 million square feet of 3D spaces, which we have received as heavy legacy files from architects and have optimized it to work seamlessly on web and VR. Awarded the best VR startup in 2021 by Silicon India and best Web3 startup in 2022 by Your Story. So thank you for having me here. Very excited for the panel.
Great. So before we start dive into the questions, let's also first set the context into what is WebXR and what is its significance in the context of while we talk about immersive web experiences.
Right. So webXR, to put it simply, is the quickest way for anyone to jump into immersive. Just like for your digital data, you have websites and applications to consume the content. Similarly, WebXR and app-based experiences have their own use cases, their own pros and cons for when to build on web and when to build on an app-based workflow. Largely where you're targeting for a consumer to quickly jump into the experience without having to sort of wait for a certain amount of time that they have to install an app and get into it. It actually helps a lot. For companies who are dealing, who have a large value offering apart from just the XR part. For example, if you're a shoe manufacturer and you want your customer to browse everything on your website, explore your products, but for a certain part of the experience, you also want them to experience the product in 3D. You don't want them to exit the experience and go to an app to actually experience the immersive layer. WebXR helps you over there to quickly let them observe your products. So for the kind of experiences where your user might be consuming XR in a larger sort of experience, which is digital and immersive, webXR works best. Whereas if you're building content which is solely focused on immersion, where immersion is the best selling point, for example, a game or immersive entertainment, then an app-based workflow makes sense as well.
Could you also explain how webXR enables developers to create VR content in such a way that it can be accessed directly through the web without the need of any additional software or installations?
Right. So, as I was telling you, if you're largely dealing in consumer experiences where, your customer might be surfing the internet, or if it's social content, they might be browsing Instagram, and you use AR filters over there. So, as a part of an already existing experience where you don't specifically want them to install an application or exit your overall experience to experience immersion, webxr is very handy for you to actually let your consumers go and consume the content.
Let's also shift our focus a bit on understanding standalone VR as well now. So, what is standalone VR headsets and their role in delivering immersive experiences outside of the web?
Right. So, I mean, the introduction of standalone VR headsets was actually a breakthrough moment in the VR and XR space as a whole. In fact, we as a company actually started and decided to foray into the space, specifically when Oculus launched its first Oculus Go headset, because the kind of consumers and businesses we were trying to build it for, they were now not bound with physical location where it had to be always bound to a CPU to run. So, for example, for real estate marketing, the brokers, the sales team of a builder might need to travel to the customer's home. If there's an event, there's an expo, they would want to present there. And you cannot have a convoluted setup which needs a few minutes to, load it up and very cumbersome to carry you. That's not really practical. It has to be plug and play, an instant experience. So their standalone headset and the introduction of them opens up a very large horizon. Traditionally, what it also has meant that VR was specifically meant for extremely sophisticated high-end experiences like games or treasure hunts or similar scary experiences where you have to come with a mindset that okay, I'm going to a particular place like an experience center where I'm going to or a VR zone where I'm going to specifically consume VR. For enterprises as well, it largely meant that they would have a specific room where their design teams have high-end PCs plugged into top-of-the-line VR. There only they can do design collaborations. But now VR with standalone has actually become on the go. The experiences don't really need to be so sophisticated. It has become like a fast media where people can just load it up, consume an experience, exit it, do whatever they're doing, and then go back again into immersion that they want to. What it also meant in terms of mindset shift was that VR is also meant for experiences and content beyond games. And real estate marketing is one. For building product configurators is another one. Doing a simple design review where your leadership just wants to join in, have a review, and give the headset back. All these use cases are now feasible because the headset is now not bound by physical location.
Yes, you also mentioned how standalone VR headsets have been a major breakthrough in the XR industry. So, what are the diverse range of applications and industries that are benefiting from it, from standalone VR headset, and also from the streamlined XR development workflows?
Right. So, in terms of use cases and utilities, we can largely divide them into two categories. One is for consumers, and the other one is for businesses. For consumers, it's basically two directions that people are taking. One is hardcore entertainment, where someone like Meta is focusing, where they want to build serious gaming content and want this to be gaming headset, where you specifically come in for hardcore entertainment. The other way is to look at how Vision Pro is positioning it in the form of softcore entertainment, or a better way to consume movies, a better way to do FaceTime with your friends, a better way to socialize, consume WhatsApp, Instagram, everything, but in a more immersive and a more personalized private environment. So for consumers, it's about hardcore entertainment and softcore, more addressable entertainment options, which you can do in personalized 3D environments. For enterprises and businesses, it's largely two categories, which is either internal training or upskilling based workflows, or customer experiences where the ability to take the customer to the physical product is not viable, specifically because it might be located somewhere where the user can't go, or because the product itself is so costly or it's so heavy that you cannot take it anywhere. They're building real life scale configurators, life scale demonstration for real estate solution. It opens up a lot of avenues for people to just consume it wherever they are in the world. Similarly, for training, it's not possible to capture the performance of individuals around how they perform in stress tests or hazard training scenarios. But with VR, you actually have a complete hold on the kind of data that you can consume from an individual's performance in hazard testing scenarios. How are they operating? Are they panicking? How much time they're taking to finish the same process in a real world like situation, which you cannot all the times create in the real world as well. For example, if you're in oil and gas and you want to hazard test your employees to see how they kind of perform if there's a fire. So it's not physically viable to always create a fire for them to actually have a test on that. So all these kind of use cases can also be enabled.
While we are discussing about benefits and all the, like, let's also not ignore the challenges that developers might face. So what are some of the challenges that they face when creating content for webXR and standalone headsets?
One of the biggest challenges that we ourselves as a team has faced as well is always around optimizing the 3D content to run on web and standalone devices. Both of these have limited processing capabilities, and inherently the way 3D is built, the way meshes are calculated by computers, that's an extremely heavy computation for these devices to do. So for us as well, 30% of our bandwidth in terms of time and production cost would always go into making everything lightweight and making it work on XR and standalone headsets. So over the years, we as a company built some insane frameworks around what are the best ways to optimize different types of 3D content. The way you optimize an architecture scene is fundamentally different from how you optimize a machinery or an e-commerce product or a training or a metaverse or gaming environment. So uh, at Converse, we have actually built the world's first intelligent 3D mesh optimizer, which has an inherent understanding of the meshes and scenes it is dealing with, and is able to give you human-like optimization results in a matter of minutes as compared to days, which it would take earlier. So I feel 3D mesh optimization is the biggest challenge. And once an artist goes past that, I think the workflows become very sorted for them.
So let's also now deep dive into a bit of the potential for integrating XR content with standalone headset experiences, because as we discussed earlier, it kind of helps developers to reach to their audience and also to reach a broader audience. So what is the potential for integrating?
Right. So the advantage with installed applications on standalone headsets is that you don't have to worry about the file size or the overall project size when you're building it. The only thing you have to worry about is the FPS and the draw calls that are coming in when you're running it in real time. Every frame that the processor of the GPU of the standalone headset has to process, it is decided by the number of meshes and the number of textures that are there in the view that it is looking at. So having an equitable distribution of mesh density throughout the scene and making sure that the densest mesh clusters are not sort of collected in the same areas is some of the things that you have to take care of for reducing draw calls. But when it comes to WebXR, what you also have to worry about is the overall size of your project, because it is going to load in real time for the person on their website and on which they're consuming. So The second thing which needs to be taken care of is to have extremely simplified game development pipelines as well. The way you use shaders, the way you program everything, the way you manage your data, it has to be extremely lightweight. So both your CPU and GPU suffer when you consume WebXR. When you're consuming it on a standalone devices, largely your GPU's performance is what you have to care about.
Yes, you have put it very smoothly. And so, while we are discussing about streamlining development processes, what are some of the best practices that one can practice to, and also which you recommend for streamlining development processes for both WebXR and standalone?
I think overall scene management is very important. Uh, Preparing a proper hierarchy of all your assets, having them grouped properly, having nearby assets grouped properly. So draw calls, it's always about reducing the draw calls. A good way to reduce draw calls is if I know my camera is going to pan this way, and if there are three, four small assets which are placed near to each other, they're always going to be visible when I look at one of them. It's better to merge them into a single mesh, and you reduce your draw calls from four meshes to one. Similarly, texture atlasing. It takes a bit of time, but it's very effective. You should go for texture atlasing. Whatever assets you think are placed nearby, merge their textures into a single one. Textures and meshes both have independent draw calls, and you should take care of that as well. Third and most important thing is taking care of occlusion within your content. What it means is you as a creator always know that if I'm working on a scene, where is my user or player going to navigate in the game or experience? Based on that, you should be able to identify which meshes or which meshes completely or which meshes partially would not be visible to my user. For example, if there's a table which is placed near a wall, the portion of the wall beyond the table is below the table is not going to be visible. So I can probably delete that portion of the wall here. Now this looks like a tedious activity, which is it is right now, but it's very effective because in XR you're only going to be dealing in visible layer. So there is a very interesting update which will share with all the Ajna users as well very soon, where we're actually using ray tracing to exactly identify this and automate this process as well. In the next update, what's coming is we let user draw a camera path for their scene where the players are going to be navigating. And from there, we're using ray tracing, and within a few minutes, we'll trace every asset which would be visible from those regions, and everything that is not visible, you as a user can decide whether you want to completely delete those objects, or for the partially visible one, you can just keep the partially visible parts. If there's a painting that is placed on a wall, we'll tell you that the part of the wall below the painting, behind the painting, can be deleted. And this is an insane thing. Till the update comes, you should definitely do it manually. It saves a lot of bandwidth.
Now let's also uh, just know from your perspective, what trends or advancements in future do you anticipate which will further optimize both for WebXR and standalone?
So one of the interesting one is definitely Gaussian splats. Gaussian splats is kind of reinventing the way a computer computes 3D data. They're built. It's a different kind of way to look at 3D content beyond meshes. And for majority of the XR experience that exists today, 90% of the assets in the experience are non-interactable. If most of your things are going to stay in the place they are, Gaussian splats can actually create a very lightweight dollhouse sort of a model of your scene, which loads with high fidelity and is visually equally good, but is extremely light to load. So Gaussian splats is one. Second is if you look at some of the videos that Sora produced, the stability and persistence of the camera in those videos is so great that you can expect in the next 1 year these models would be trained to understand physics like a gaming engine is. So, the way we work with gaming engine is there are physics-based workflows which are used to sort of set the rules of the game and the interactions. But AI is learning in a more natural way. A good example to look at it is we as humans, we understand physics, we start understanding it from our childhood. That if we drop something, it's going to fall. If we walk like this, we walk fast, suddenly we're going to fall down, all these kind of things. But we actually learn this in 10th, 11th, 12th class physics, where we understand the concepts behind it. The way AI is understanding this right now, it does not really need to understand the physics behind why everything is happening. It just needs to understand how things work in real world and give a much more intuitive, much more natural way of explaining physics to a computer as compared to the complicated processes that we have in Unity and Unreal like gaming engines. So these two, and along with this, obviously the ability to automate a lot of code. So as game developers, just the ability to run Unity or Unreal should never be your skill set, because that is going to be democratized very soon. Your ability should be always to build complex games, complex simulations, and complex processes, which stand out as intelligent experiences.
Yes, I think that kind of answers my next question, which is lastly, any recommendations you have for developers who are kind of looking to stay ahead in this? As we know, XR is rapidly evolving every day. So, and a lot of our audience is also XR developers. So, I hope it will be helpful for them. So, any recommendations that you have for them?
I mean, the first one is obviously, which I just said, both for 3D artists and for XR developers. Your skills should not just be limited to having the ability to operate Unity, Unreal, 3ds Max, or Blender. You should always know and understand why things work the way they work. Why does light reflect differently in rendered based pipeline versus when I do it in a baked workflow? How does Nanite work? How does Lumen work on a fundamental level? Understand these things, and then not only it helps you build a better knowledge of how the software operates, but it also helps you build better experiences. When you exactly understand what calculations all these engines are doing behind them, you can actually tweak them to your advantage and produce results which are like hacks for you as a creator. Secondly, I think AI-based workflows are going to sort of become an important part of your workflows. And in most cases, it's always going to be the bottom 25% of the least skilled creators in each space, which would get obsolete the fastest. So try to stay ahead of the curve, try to be in the top 25%. So AI is an asset to you and not a pain in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, truly said. So I think we have covered everything from a webXR to standalone and also to a bit of recommendations that you have for XR developers. And yeah, so lastly, any takeaways you have?
So I think Ajna has a great community, and specifically for a homegrown company doing so good, solving a problem like hardware. I understand how difficult it is to build hardware. So kudos to that and the community that you guys have built. Developers who are building on this, keep building. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. And XR as an industry, within the next 18 months, you'll see a lot of momentum coming in. One, because of the trickle down effect of Apple Vision Pro coming in and setting a mindset shift in people that, okay, the time for VR is now. So that is actually pushing a lot of enterprises to try VR to make efficient processes, and for enthusiasts and game developers and media consumers to look at more immersive and better ways to do what they have already been doing.
So, lastly, again, I would just like to thank you for taking your time out and sharing your knowledge with us. I know it's actually going to be really helpful for developers, especially how XR and developer centric this podcast was. So, again, thank you for taking your time and joining us here.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Pooja. Bye.
thank you.
Have a good day.
Namaskaram.